Telecom operators in Ghana have 11 days to allow real-time monitoring of their call traffic or risk severe sanctions, including the revocation of their licenses. Communications Minister Eslosu Ekofo, who appeared in Parliament on Thursday to insist government will go ahead with plans to implement an initiative to verify the revenues declared by the telcos, stated the contract with Kelnic GVG is above board. Contrary to claims, it is tainted with corruption. She questioned what she said was a resistance by the telcos to allow real-time monitoring of their call traffic.
Kelnic GVG, the NCA, and GRA are all data protection compliant, and we will continue to monitor their operations to ensure they remain so. In Africa, this same system is being implemented by GVG in Rwanda and Uganda currently, where all the MNOs in Ghana also operate. There has been no complaint of such intrusion in those countries, and the fears being expressed here are completely unjustified, fanciful, or smack of disrespect for our laws. It is a facade to avoid paying the right taxes. We are confident that these so-called fears are not borne out by the facts, but are merely a continuing attempt to frustrate government efforts to ensure full transparency and visibility on all transactions in this sector.
She enumerates that what she said represented the facts of the case.
Being the source of the massive flight of capital from our country and our continent. I am a firm believer in honest profits, but I will not condone illicit financial outflows. We know how injurious they have been to Africa's development, unquote. Mr. Speaker, there has been absolutely no corruption or underhand dealings in this transaction. I can never be party to any such conduct, as I value my reputation and the reputation of the government which serves the good people of Ghana. I stand here as a minister of the Akufo-Addo administration to assure this august house I stand here as a minister of the Akufo-Addo administration to assure this august house that I believe this is the best deal we could have got. Mr. Speaker, as I indicated earlier, Vodafone and Glo are currently in the process of connecting physically to the common platform. I expect the others to do so shortly. Their deadline for final connection, and I'm reminding them, is 11 June 2018, and failure or refusal to do so will result in the imposition of the specified sanctions.
There were a number of points made by the Communications Minister in her presentation to Parliament. Some of those comments or claims that she made have been contested by the minority in Parliament. We will shortly bring you the claims or the contest or the counter-claims by the minority. But let me take you through 10 of the points that were made by the Communications Minister. One, she said the common platform is necessary for monitoring international and domestic voice and data traffic, volumes, revenue, and mobile money transactions in an independent way. Now, two, she goes on to say that we are acting in the interest of the good people of Ghana to safeguard revenues that ought to accrue to the state. As far back as 2009, National Security conducted extensive due diligence on GVG and confirmed the credibility and technical capacity of the company in writing. Now, this is one of the points that is being contested by the minority. They're indicating that the two companies, or the companies that she's talking about, the communications minister is talking about, are two companies, the two entities altogether. Now, three, the minister said, AfriWave's license has been amended and all outstanding payments made by the NCA. They are no longer providing traffic monitoring services to the NCA and have been restricted to clearing house operations. Now, the fourth point that she made is that there has been absolutely no corruption or underhand dealings in this transaction. I can never be party to any such conduct, as I value my reputation and the reputation of the government which serves the good people of Ghana. Now, one other point, point number 5, this is not a duplication of any existing contract. No other system or company is currently providing this service. The mobile money interoperability platform of GIBS monitors transactions between 2 or more telcos and the banks, but does not monitor transactions on one network. The CMP does so. The CMP here meaning the Common Monitoring Platform. Number 6 says, we are not paying for no work done. Neither the NCA nor the GRA currently has the capability of providing this service and have indicators. So the CMP will provide real-time monitoring of all traffic volumes on all networks, as has never happened before. Here's another point that has been contested by the minority. We'll hear them shortly. Now, point number 7, she says, no NCA board member has resigned because of this contract. And then she also indicated that there is no 10-year contract worth $178 million. There is a 5-year, $89 million contract which may be renewed subject to stated conditions being fulfilled. This is far better than the $150 million plus we paid for the past 5 years for very little value. Now, Kelvini GVG is not a foreign company. It's a joint venture between a Ghanaian company registered in 1995 with experience in electrical engineering, IT solutions and systems, in addition to other business interests, and GVG, which has 20 years experience in telecoms, revenue assurance, and IT solutions. And the final point says several telecoms companies operating in Ghana have been fined and face challenges in some countries they operate in. That doesn't make them fraudulent or disreputable companies. GVG has also experienced some issues. Now, she indicates, a communications minister, and this final point indicates that GVG also has experienced some issues. The minority is harping on these issues that GVG has experienced to indicate that indeed it is not a company that government should be doing business with. They are essentially challenging the communications minister's claims. Now, MP for Ningo Prampram, Sam George, contested a number of the claims made by the communications minister. Let's hear him.
Real issues in this whole transaction is who is Ghana committing its money over the next 5 years to. We're not doing a comparison of contracts. A contract has been signed now, committing the Ghanaian taxpayer. In January, the Ghanaian taxpayer paid $1.5 million US. What work was done? In February, what work was done? March, April, and this month of May. Each of these months, $1.5 million US have been paid to this company, Kelvini GVG. For what work have they done? The minister makes a submission or a suggestion that the equipment is going to become that of the government after 5 years. Do you remember the argument of Dr. Bawumia, our vice president, when the issue of SIP-TIN switch came up, where he said that why would you enter into an IT contract for more than 5 years? Because in 5 years, the technology will become what? Obsolete. The question here is not about equipment. The NCA can go and buy the equipment. It is about the expertise and technical ability to run the equipment that you have. If you take the 2009 Global Voice Group contract that was signed under Honorable Haruna Idrisu, there was a knowledge transfer component as part of that, where the NCA was supposed to gain the capacity. I can tell you on authority, as someone who's worked at the Flagstaff House as communication specialist and at the Ministry of Communications under President Mahama, that the NCA currently has the capacity, if given the equipment, to carry out revenue assurance and monitoring. If GRA is able to do revenue assurance for the mining companies, why can they not do revenue assurance for the telecom companies? What argument is being made? Again, let us be clear. When the minister keeps saying that they have gone to GVG, they went to Rwanda, they went to Uganda, Rwanda and Uganda, Ghana started mobile telephony way ahead of them. Are we saying that now those are the international benchmarks that we want to use? Again, let us ask ourselves, in Uganda and Rwanda, which company is present there? Is it Kelny GVG or Global Voice?
More President of Imani Africa, Franklin Cudjoe, insists the contract with Kelny GVG is completely needless.
For 5 years, let's even assume that is even the case, which is not true. 5 years continuously for $1.5 million, when they are not able to tell you exactly what they are likely to find. All the things you've read, the conditions, have nothing to do with the return in terms of finances. You are paying 1.5 million taxpayers' money, dollars. That's about 6 million Ghana cedis to somebody to look for thieves in your kitchen. Meanwhile, as the food is being eaten in your kitchen, you are deciding that you are paying the so-called watchman more than the entire food you buy into your fridge. We are looking at the issues about value for money. There can be no confusion about this. In any case, what is the rush? What is now the turnaround point that is being made and almost threatening the telcos? I thought when this conversation began, they said there's no telco that is resisting. None of them is resisting. All of a sudden, they are issuing threats and saying that these telcos cannot be trusted. A telco like MTN that just listed on the bus yesterday can't be trusted. But we can trust a faceless entity like Kelny GVG, whose directors we do not know, their modus operandi we do not know, the architecture they are building, we've not seen the bill of quantities to determine the so-called $50 million they are bringing in, which, by the way, is in stark contradiction to the Deputy Minister's $50 million claim.
We're taking a break here on Joy News Prime, but still ahead, patients stranded as lab scientists strike sees a fourth day.
I came to run test and was told they'll strike. Doctors say I have a weak kidney and needed to be immediately.
There appears to be no resolution in sight for this strike. We're taking a break. We'll be back with those stories in a bit. Stay tuned. The lives of many patients of government hospitals across the country continue to be at risk following the total withdrawal of services by laboratory scientists. Joy News toured some major hospitals on the fourth day of the strike and discovered patients requiring critical care cannot receive treatment as a result of the industrial action. Emefa Chiradozi has been speaking with some stranded patients at the Kolwu Teaching Hospital here in Accra.
Because I high a corona da house so as a labna sana up to my so still yenya fitting running there.
I brought my nephew who was involved in an accident to the hospital yesterday. He was operated on and asked to run some tests, but no one was attending to us. I wish I could take him to a private hospital, but I cannot afford.
Mebano, when your accident, the operation. We can test na omo continue the on. Na private musica on me have private party am say me call so we say na musica sem
me ba be lab me ba na omo se omo nyejuma ya ko strike mankasa me see me call check up and I see me kidney I weak nti me fambra na me be lab no and I can me with doctor no on the 11 until say after I do 1 week to date na ma be ye nti na can me buy no.
I came to run some tests and was told they are on strike. Doctors say I have a weak kidney and needed to be checked immediately. I hope government intervenes because our lives matter. Right now, I have no choice than to visit a private hospital.
Because next week, me doctor need say me go private.
Me are me be surgery me
yeba no fascinated bined
Well, also pregnant women and nursing mothers are among some of the patients most affected by the laboratory scientist strike. One of such patients is a 35-year-old mother left stranded at the Upper West Regional Hospital laboratory after she was directed there with a 2-month-old baby. Regional correspondent Rafiq Salam reports Amamata Zakaria is really stranded in every sense of the word.
Officers in some rooms here at the laboratory of the Upper Regional Hospital remain close to patients. The only place open to patients is the waiting room where patients sit to wait for their post. Only a couple of workers are at post, but they are members of the Ghana Association of Medical Research. They are workers of the hospital in charge of the revenue generated at the laboratory. One of them, Boko George, had a hectic time trying to tell them that the workers were not at post and were on strike.
Almost strike, almost
Over dozens of patients, including pregnant women and nursing mothers, came to the facility but were turned away. Naya inconveniences of moving out of the regional hospital for laboratory tests.
I came to the hospital for my ANC visits. When I came out to some labs, like the lab technicians here, they are not working. So I've been asked to go to a private lab for my labs to be done. And moving from the hospital to the private lab is more stressful. When you go to the private lab, you have to wait the long queue before it gets to you for your labs to be done. Because you have to bring it back to the hospital for assessment. So that way it makes it more difficult for us. If you have other things to do, you don't have time to go back and do those.
The case of 5 mother of is worse. Amamata Zakaria hails from Seng, 13 kilometers at the outskirts of Wa. She came to the hospital because of a 2-month-old baby who is normal and had diarrhea. She was referred to a lab to come and meet an empty space. Her health insurance is expired and she has no money to visit a private medical laboratory. The only option for patients who are to undergo laboratory tests in the region is private medical laboratories located about 400 meters away from the hospital. One of such facilities is Bill Medical Laboratory. We met almost all the people that were away at the regional hospital. Authorities at the laboratory wouldn't speak to me on camera, but said there had been increases in the attendance here. They explained that the number will have increased, but for the Ramadan, the fasting which is being observed. Upper West Region's chairman of the Ghana Association of Medical Laboratory Scientists, Boniface M. empathizes patients who could not afford the services of private medical laboratory facilities, but was quick to add that the strike is for their betterment.
So as for the pregnant woman going and don't get the attention, we have women amongst us, we have sisters, we have lived with pregnant people, we have attended to pregnant people, but we want that the pregnant woman should get comprehensive laboratory care so that the woman in my village who is pregnant, when she goes to my village clinic, services she should be the same services somebody would get if the person went to the regional hospital in Wa. And that is simply what we are asking for.
Reporting the news, Rafiq Salam, Wa.
More journeys is learning that the leadership of the Ghana Association of Medical Laboratory Sciences are yet to meet the Health Ministry to bring finality to the indefinite strike by the scientists across the country. The two are expected to sign a memorandum of understanding after they failed to reach an agreement on Wednesday when both parties dissented on the use of a word. The National Vice President Bani Singh made this known when he spoke earlier on The Pulse with Gifty Andoapia.
The thing is that they do not want to commit themselves. Sitting in the meeting yesterday, it appears as they just want to do something for us to strike off. Then, because these issues they've lingered on for over 6 years now. Okay. we are also determined that this time around, we have to see something concrete on the table before, if we call the strike off, we would call it off. Because if we do anything shortly, our members would it easy with them.
Exactly what was the bone of contention between you and the minister or the minister's assistant? Why you could not see the document you had agreed upon the previous day?
It was just we asked that the minister shall direct and replace it with he should see that, and that's the phrasing wasn't committing enough. That was just
okay.
For us, we would not meet anyone apart from the minister himself.
Or anybody higher.
It is sad to say that there are few people around the minister who are not who we can't trust.
Okay.
You get it. So
you're more comfortable dealing with the minister
directly than any other person. Maybe if we could meet the vice president or the president, we would do that, but not any advisor or PRO, that kind of thing. We would not meet anybody.
We're bringing you business news in a bit, but later on in the bulletin, Ghana's longest-serving finance minister, Professor Kwesi Botwe, cautions government against gloating over growth figures.
We're entirely out of the woods, so we must temper our celebrations and so on. Not forget that there are so vulnerabilities in the economy.
He would, however, not want to confirm or deny his interest in the NDC's flag bearer race. We'll be back in a bit. Stay tuned.
Thank you very much for joining me on Business. Good evening and welcome. The African Center for Energy Policy, ACEP, is demanding accountability for part of oil revenue that was not spent on projects allocated in the 2017 budget. According to the energy policy think tank, the Minister of Finance had earlier stated that the fund, which couldn't be spent, will be used to fund construction of roads and other infrastructural projects in the country. Executive Director of ACEP, Benjamin Boakye, believes Parliament failed in the oversight responsibility on the petroleum funds. There's more in this report.
According to the African Center for Energy Policy, ACEP, the finance minister disregarded Parliament on the disbursement of petroleum revenue for the year 2017. At a press conference, ACEP stated that actual revenue to be allocated to Ghana National Petroleum Corporation as part of petroleum revenue was projected.
The projected expenditure for the agriculture sector was 156 million Ghana cedis. He projected 211 million Ghana cedis for the education sector, 50 million for health, and then 376 million for infrastructure and roads. But if you look at the outturn, how he spent it, or the outcome of the 2017, we realize that even though he had enough money to spend on the priority areas, he did not spend the money, apart from the free SHS component, where he spent about 90% of what he said to spend. The rest of it, he did not spend as much as he should. For example, in agriculture, if he budgeted 156 million, he only spent 49 million in agriculture. For health, he budgeted 50 million, only spent 8.6 million. So the question then is, why is the money sitting there unutilized? And why has no one told us where exactly the money is?
In 2017, the total estimated receipt from oil was about $515 million. This amount, according to ACEP, was exceeded by almost 5% to reach $540.4 million. The first time Ghana attained and exceeded petroleum revenue projected since 2014. The energy policy think tank cited Parliament for negligence over oil revenue.
Absolutely. I mean, I've had parliamentarians raising questions that actually lacks, understanding of how the PRMA even works, and that is shocking. So, we are aware if they will take their time to understand the laws they pass and make sure that ministers comply, with the laws they pass. But it doesn't seem that they're doing enough due diligence on the laws they've passed and also its compliance.
ASEP is demanding accountability on the more than 400 million cedis revenue, which couldn't be spent in the 2017 budget. For Joy Business, Ibn Sabute's report.
Now, Tullow Oil has reiterated its commitment to finally bring an end to the Jubilee shutdowns by the end of this year. The oil exploration firm over the years has struggled to complete works on the machine used to extract oil from the seabed. This has forced to postpone it on several occasions, with the latest projections pegged at the end of 2018. Speaking to Joy Business, visiting Chief Executive Paul McDade says they are sure about this proposed date. We sincerely apologize for that break, and you're welcome to Business. Let's take our earlier story again. Tullow Oil has reiterated its commitment to finally bringing an end to the Jubilee shutdowns by the end of this year. The oil exploration firm over the years has struggled to complete works on the machine used to extract oil from the seabed. This has forced postponement on several occasions, with latest projections pegged at end of 2018. Speaking to Joy Business, visiting Chief Executive Paul McDade said they are sure about this new date.
Both TEN and Jubilee have shown themselves to be very prolific areas, very significant resources, and that's why drilling add to those resources and increase production. So both fields are doing well, and in fact we're even thinking of bringing a second rig to accelerate that production build. So with regard to the new bidding round, as well as having that position in Ghana, we see a long-term future for Tullow Ghana, and that requires us to start thinking about new areas which will only add to our business here. So it's very much the success we've had and continue to have with Jubilee and TEN. So the turret bearing, was a very significant problem at Jubilee. It's something that the industry still doesn't really quite understand why that happened. The team here in Ghana have done an exceptional job of managing it so far, because we've continued production throughout at very high levels as they think about this unique repair that we need to do. We decided to spend quite a bit of time just thinking through such that we got the right solution to the problem we had with the turret bearing, and that's now defined. We had a very successful shutdown earlier in the year. We're underway with the second one, which we expect to be equally successful, and that will allow us to close out the turret bearing towards the end of the year. So we're very confident that this matter will be behind us, which is really what we're back drilling in Jubilee, so that we can start to ramp up production.
Now, Quantum Terminals Group is almost through with the construction of a state-of-the-art fuel and LPG storage terminals at Tema in the Greater Accra region. The leading petroleum infrastructure and logistics solution provider in the country is taking advantage of the vibrant activities in Ghana's downstream sector to stimulate competitiveness. Executive Director of Quantum, Emmanuel Ejie-Mensah, says the $55 million project hopes to provide quality storage solutions through cost-effective facilities and tank terminals across the country. Presently, bulk oil distribution companies, also known as BDCs, rent storage facilities of Bost, Tor, and a few other tank farms available. Storage is therefore a major factor affecting the downstream petroleum sector. As government alone cannot handle installation of petroleum infrastructure in the downstream space, private involvement is emphasized. Located in Tema, the Quantum Terminals Group project occupies a vast expanse of land with a 5,000 cubic meter oil storage terminal equipped with 8 loading bays. There's also a 30,000 cubic meter LPG tank farm to store propane for the air power plant, the largest LPG-fired power plant in the world. These projects are scheduled for completion from between June this year and February 2019. Executive Director of Quantum, Emmanuel Ejie-Mensah, thinks the state-of-the-art facility will be a game changer for the industry.
It's going to be the fastest terminal in the country. From here we can load the entire nation's requirement of gas oil and gasoline. That's the capacity. It's fully automated. When it's finished, come here in another 2 months, maybe at the commission we'll invite you to come, and you see it's fully automated from the time you enter the gate through the loading, so you go out, everything is totally automated. we have the only, we call it inline additivation system. From the time that a truck enters our gates so it leaves, everything is automated. You are given a card, and that is what guides you through everything you do throughout the whole facility. There's minimal human intervention. So that makes sure that everybody gets exactly what you are supposed to get.
The National Petroleum Authority has mandated the company to establish LPG bottling across the country as it implements the new cylinder recirculation module by the end of the year. Emmanuel J. Mensah says the company is ready to deliver to satisfaction.
We are working on it. If we look behind you, when you get over there, those are actually the largest LPG storage in sub-Saharan Africa. So we are going to add the cylinder just close by. That's for the one in Tema. The design is already complete. We are going into budgeting and fundraising now. And then the second one will come in Kumasi, and then the last one in Atwabo.
Quantum is expected to put up some storage facilities in Kumasi within the next couple of years. The company this month listed the Ghana Stock Exchange to help it raise some long-term capital for further expansion works. Now, a former governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Paul Akwa, has jumped to the defense of current managers of the banking sector over how they supervise the industry. Dr. Akwa's comments are coming at a time that when the Bank of Ghana has come under serious criticisms over how they have supervised the sector. Some have even accused them of being the cause of the current challenges that have hit the industry. But Dr. Akwa disagrees. He tells Joy Business some areas.
The reports are that a number of banking institutions that need to be strengthened. And if that's the case, then there's a need for the regulatory authorities to enforce the law and for the institutions also to comply.
What can we do to bring confidence back into the environment?
But that presupposes that there's no confidence. I think if you say, how do you strengthen confidence? You strengthen confidence by continuing to promote the type of sound policies that everybody has been advocating, implement fiscal discipline, be desist from corruptive behavior, and ensure that businesses function, normally.
That brings me to my last question. And there has been a call for supervision department of the BOG to be separated. What do you make of that? Is it a good call, or you think it should still remain how it is?
I think you're thinking banking supervision.
Yes, at the BOG, yes, please.
At BOG, I think they're looking from my standpoint, they seem to be trying to do well.
So it should remain as part of the BOG regulatory framework.
I think the BSD is a specialized department, and it is good to strengthen. It is good to strengthen that institution. I mean, there is no presumption that if you created another institution outside the system, that institution might become more effective than BSD as present.
Thank you very much.
Well, that's all we have for you by way of business tonight. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Emmanuel Abuachi. Have a good evening.
Ghana's longest-serving finance minister, Professor Kwesi Botwe, is warning government against gloating over economic growth figures. While admitting Ghana's economy is on track, he says government must exercise caution. Addressing the second revolutionary lecture series here in Accra under the theme Revolutionary Economic Trend, Ghana in Focus, Past, Present and the Future, He maintained the fundamentals of growth currently being witnessed were set in motion by previous governments after the revolution, and that the Kufuor administration must work to broaden the revenue base and cut expenditure.
Well, no, the point I was making, was it is commendable that the macroeconomic indicators are looking up, but that we are not entirely out of the woods, so we must temper our celebrations and so on, and not forget that there are still vulnerabilities in the economy, and that there must be preferably not one-time, revenue measures, not windfalls, so on, that enable us to cover our tracks, but medium to long-term sustainable revenue measures that will help in really expanding our revenue base sustainably, especially as we load up our expenditure profile correctly with social programs that cost money, because they are with us. Free HSS is with us. It's not just a one-time thing. So that's the point I was making. Okay, that yes, the indicators are right. That's, inflation is falling. Growth has resumed. Those are good indicators, and we are still in danger of debt distress. Okay, it's important that we don't gloat over the fact that the debt service ratio has fallen by this measure or that measure, but take steps to ensure that we truly, well and truly, get out of debt distress through expansion in revenue.
Has increased in the multi-party democratic environment, and that the pre-1992 revolutionary strategies to curb this destructive canker has been...
Are you joining the NDC ways? Are you joining the NDC? Sorry. Are you joining the NDC collaboration?
Listen, I played a role in the investigation of the causes of the NDC's defeat. One of the problems that we had was that it was important, we found it important to respect the party structures even as we restore their integrity. The party executives are going to very soon be releasing the guidelines for the selection of a flag bearer. It's important that the work of the restructuring of the party be done properly, and that the integrity of the party structures be restored. The party executives at the national level are working on it. It's important that we do. I'm very focused on that. That's where I am. I think it's important that we do so.
Meanwhile, Executive Director of the Institute of Fiscal Studies, Professor Kwadwo Newman-Kusi, is bemoaning the litany of scandals that have rocked the NPP in the last 16 months. He believes unless corruption in the public sector is addressed, all the bright economic fundamentals will be brought to naught.
A large majority of Ghanaians are now of the view that corruption has increased in the multi-party democratic environment, and that the pre-1992 revolutionary strategy to curb this destructive canker has been thrown out of the window. The perception of deepening corruption in the public sector is perhaps driven by the numerous scandals that have recently hit public institutions, public servants, and political office bearers. Public confidence and trust in public institutions and state-appointed officials have been eroded with the repeated blatant scandals involving massive impropriety and wanton dissipation of public resources. So rethinking of Ghana's development calls for a critical need to seriously and swiftly deal with the issue of corruption. My submission is that political parties wanted to be voted into office should demonstrate their willingness, their capacity, and strategies to clamp down on corruption in the public sector. To this end, the recent appointment of a special prosecutor to deal with corrupt practices in the country is a welcome decision, provided that the
prosecutor will be allowed to do his work uninterrupted.
He died on official duty in the hands of the very people he has sworn to protect. Remorseful residents of Denkyira Boase, where Major Maxwell Adam Mahamat's life was taken in a mob action, now want a police station in his honor. They believe the absence of police in the town largely contributed to the lawlessness that resulted in the soldiers' demise. Oyemi Nteria has more in the following report.
A memorial service in Accra to commemorate 1 year of Major Mahamat's death was complemented with a similar ceremony at Denkyira Boase, now New Obuasi. Besides a trust fund set up by government to cater for the wife and children, court was set for construction of a monument at Burma camp on the death of President Akufo-Addo. There are calls from some quarters for similar bus in New Obuasi to remind residents of their callous killing of Major Mahamat. However, linguist Nana Kwabena Asare says a police station in the town named after the slain soldier will serve a better purpose than a statue to constantly remind them of a dark day.
Some suggest erection of Major Mahamat's statue here. We have reservations because it will always remind us of the unfortunate incident. We are not for that. Already, we are re-enduring pain as some of our people remain in custody. We wish a police station is built and named after him.
Nana Asare's position is endorsed by Upper Denkyira West District Chief Executive Ajimane Siedu and Jiaso District Police Commander ASP Say Edumai.
If the assembly is having any mind of having any other thing doing for the people of Obuasi, we would have first considered the building of a police station for them, because apart from having the position to prevent the occurrence of such situations, it is also going to improve the security situation of the town.
Eventually, if there had been a police station there, you and I will agree that this incident wouldn't have happened. When the message was given to the assemblyman, he would have just walked to the police station. Please, this is the information I have.
Significantly, residents of Denkyira Boase were at a communal labor on that fateful day of 29th May 2017 when news of a suspected robber sparked off the action that ended Major Mahamat's life. A proposed conversion of an abandoned post office into a police station has since stalled. From Denkyira Boase in the Upper Denkyira West District of the Central Region for Joy News, Oyemi Nteria reporting.
The Baptist Medical Center at Nalerugu in the Northern Region continues to record high levels of malnutrition. The center records averagely 40 cases each month. Cases of malnutrition have increased in the area according to hospital authorities, who said at least 5 malnourished cases are found in every community. Martina Bogre has more.
To Joy News at the launch of the 60th anniversary of MC, Nutrition Officer Amos Kari said sometimes the hospital admits up to 100 cases of malnutrition. He said malnutrition is widespread in the area.
Malnutrition is a key problem in this sector. When you look at every community, at least get 5 from each community. That is becoming a issue, and not only this district, but nearby. You can talk of Karga, who is also taking. We should go to take fire like PMC. From Karga, they come here. Those from Savologo, Diare, all of them come to this place. But if we even zero it down to the district level, the municipal level, you will see that even the numbers are very high, because when you look at the important record, we don't receive less than 40 averagely a month. Then when you come to the OPD, the outpatient side, you don't get less than 30 averagely a month. So that indicates that the situation is still a burden onto us.
Hospital Administrator Edward Adai said the hospital has established a center to train mothers on how to use local ingredients to prepare dishes for their children. He said sometimes the cases are severe that mothers stay up to 6 months on admission.
the malnourished children when they come, instead of us to maybe more or less give them the drugs and say go home, we just make sure that we admit them, we accommodate them, and we teach the mother how to prepare the very nutritious food for the children to boost up their immunity. So instead of allowing the mother to take care of the child in the house, you make sure that the mother will be here in the facility, and the department will teach the mother how to prepare nice mayonnaise and other things that will help the children to gain the nutritional value. So we don't allow them to go, but we admit them and teach the mother. So when the mother even lives here and go, then they can go and continue with the feeding support. So average, some can even, it depends the condition. When some of them, they come within 2-3 months, they are okay and they go. Some will even stay up to 6 months. Yes, but maximum 3 months time, we are done. And then the mother will be able to go home and continue with the food preparation, the supplement, to help the.
The journey through life often entails mountains and valleys, climbing, descending as one grows. Some people are, however, born at the foot of mountains, and their first steps involve climbing. That is the story of Charity Machim, a second-year student of Yabram Community Day School, who has to fend for herself and her 8 siblings. Manasseh Azuriawuni recently traveled to Dambai and reports how Charity is determined to change the destiny of her family.
When I decided to follow Charity Machim to school, my focus was how difficult it was for students of Yabram Community Day Senior High School to walk 2.5 hours before getting to school. The school is located 9 kilometers from the Dambai town. After a few minutes, however, I had to switch on my recorder again when I engaged the 9-year-old girl financial burden of renting a room and living on one's own as a senior high school student. Her father is now too old to farm and cater for the family. Her mother has not recovered from the motor accident she suffered years ago and now lives in the northern region.
My father was with us here, but one of his brother left to north, so he said he's going to visit them. He's not yet in.
And your mother?
Up for her, she's also a sick, so she's just roaming to find help for herself.
She's
Yes, please.
What's wrong with her?
She's coming to us and she had an accident on the way.
So Charity now has the burden of providing for her own needs and those of her 8 siblings who are all in school.
You, what's your name?
Savior.
Yeah. How old are you? Are you sure you're 8? You are 8. And you, what's your name? Come. Your name is?
Makai.
Makai. How old are you?
11 years.
11 years. Did you go to school today?
Yes.
Which school do you attend?
Adventist Academy.
Adventist Academy. For your church.
Yes.
She told me she and one of her younger sisters had to sell in the market and do other odd jobs to support their education.
The food stuff that we have been getting, unless we went and helped someone somewhere before we were able to feed on ourselves.
Charity wrote her BEC in 2015 and gained admission to Peve Senior High School. There was no one to support her education, so she had to stay at home for a year and sold coconuts in the Dambai market. The following year, she raised enough money to pay her admission fees and buy uniform. She has, however, not been able to pay her fees for the 2nd year and says should the school decide to send students who pay fees home, that will be the end of her education. Charity and her siblings had to move to Paripari, a nearby village, to settle in Dambai in order to go to school. When their rent expired, they were evicted because they had no money to pay. A benevolent church member has given them a room to live in, but taking care of her other needs and those of her siblings is affecting her education.
We have the electricity, but we don't use light. If the landlady, he just help us to rent where we were. There's no money for us to pay the rent there, so we left there, and she said we should come and stay with her here for a while. But because of the light bill, we don't use light, because if you use a light bill, you can't pay. we won't get money to pay.
And with all these challenges, how do you think that will affect your ambition of becoming a lawyer?
It will affect because I'm not able to sit the way I'm supposed to do. So it will affect. Yes, it will affect. If I'm not able to sit down and learn well, it will affect because with learning, there's no way you can succeed unless you learn hard before you can succeed and become someone great.
So where are the rest?
52-year-old Mary Agboji was among some 20 persons who visited the new Senchi Health Center in the Eastern region to treat various skin conditions. The end result was however fatal, as 4 of them are known to have died having been injected with medications suspected to have been contaminated. Despite several surgeries conducted on her, it appears Mary's chances of surviving are fading each day, having spent all her money on medical bills. Correspondent Kwame Yanka filed this report.
The news team is at Akosombo to meet Mary Agboji weeks after being discharged from the VRA hospital. Mary, with a fatigued face, attempts to walk to take her seat, limping with the help of her 14-year-old daughter. She recounts how terrifying it was when a patient next to her died as doctors at the VRA hospital tried to stop the further decay of her skin caused by the suspected contaminated injection.
She was on the first bed and I was on the second bed. She was my companion, but she died. I was anguished, especially after we were transferred. The other patients also passed on. But I'm grateful to God I stayed at the hospital and feel better now. As
the breadwinner of her family, savings from her tabletop business at Akosombo Market was not enough to pay for his medical bills.
All I went into paying the bills, so we had to go for a loan. My husband is jobless. I am the breadwinner of the family.
Her family then took a loan of over 4,000 Ghana cedis in addition to her savings to pay her medical bills and other expenses. But Mary has other worries. Her daughter could miss the SBECE in June if she is unable to pay her school fees.
We are pleading with the teachers to allow my daughter to school as we look for money to pay her fees.
Mary's 14-year-old daughter, Nunana Lassie, confirms her mother's fears.
Now that she's not feeling well, to get the money, the exact money to go to Accra to bring money so that she will look after her children, it has become a very big problem. They ask for school fees. You can't tell them that your mom is, so they should give you some time to come and pay. They are waiting for you to pay fees before the term ends. So how to tell them that my mom is at the hospital, so they should give us some time before we pay the school fees. It was a very big problem.
Mary is disappointed officials of the Ghana Health Service have left her to her fate.
I have used all my money for medical bills. I have lost even my capital. Friends and church members are helping with my upkeep and the rest of my treatment. I plead with government to intervene and settle my bills.
Mary Agboji and families of the other victims are expecting the Ghana Health Service to pay for the cost of treatment now that the source of the deadly injection has been established. From Akosombo, this is Kwame Yanke's report for Joy News.
The souls of hundreds of women perish yearly while giving life in Ghana. Terrible healthcare facilities, delays in reaching hospitals, terrible roads, and negative cultural practices all affect pregnant women. Who is to blame? That is the million-city question that poetic Sabukio Sabote could help answer.
Water weight sinks into the chest of their mothers. Death of 50 babies all wiped off in a day. She dropped her tears into her own sweat, screaming in pain. Gasping for the next available breath to hold on to. This is the child she has lost within 5 years. When next will she count herself like? Who is to blame? From my bird's eye perspective, she wraps up sackcloth and hands them over to the woman whose fingers yearns for a child. Oko and Akwele grew up with a hateful mother. Everyone questions why none of them looks like her, not even their runaway father. Yaya was not lucky. He was slain to gods at 3. The spirits of 450 mothers and children speak to me each year. Hoping that life will give them a second chance. But no, oxygen plugs are pulled out. Who is to blame?
And in the headlines, Communications Minister insists government will not back down on implementation of a common platform for revenue assurance of the country's telcos and threatens sanctions for the companies who refuse to comply. The minority in Parliament is ever contesting the minister's claims. Patients stranded as the lab scientist strike sees a 4th day. In business, Africa Center for Energy Policy, ACEP, demands that government account for part of all revenue not spent on projects allocated for funding in 2017 budget.